Is it possible to be absolutely here? It seems very simple and easy. And yes, it is for our true being, the absolute consciousness, which has no past, no future. But when we hear that as an individual being, it is not so easy, because habit to live in time and space with past and future is so strong that we are caught up in our own impressions, conditioning, and it seems like an impossible mission for the individual being. Yet life is arranging that there is some movement in this absolute consciousness, a breathing. We call it Spanda sometimes, and it's made of contraction and expansion. That's what's creating the movement. In quantum physics, we speak about particle and wave. In India, in Sanskrit, we speak about the Bindu and nada. Bindu is a point, and nada is a wave. So, which are, we could say, matching with a particle and wave. So a particle is a point of concentration. It's one unit, and a wave, as it is described by itself, it's a wave which is not a point. And in quantum physics, when we look at a particle, it seems there is only that, and when we look at the wave, it seems there is only the wave. So, and it's the same way Bindu, the point, which also symbolizes third eyes, the eye of wisdom. And the wave is a movement. So the breathing, or the divine pulsation, Spanda, is breathing, shifting from contraction to expansion. Contraction, expansion. And we have also this reflection in our own human breathing, in the system, physical body. So we are going through some moment in life where we feel expanded, open, joyful, very high, everything is beautiful. Oh my God, how life can be so good. And then something happens in life, a trigger. A person says something, the weather is not how I like, or anything happen, or I lose some money, and then contraction. We don't need even this some big events, even small events in our life, in our daily life. Our partner doing something which is not appealing to our expectation, then contraction. So we can go through small contractions and expansion, and we can go through big contraction. If our beloved die, or we lose a big amount of money, or whatever we are attached to, according to our conditioning, our samskara, our vasanas, our mental tendencies, which are the memory accumulated in our system, in our mind. So according to that, it will react to some events, and for my neighbor or the other one, it will be different. Everyone has a unique color, a mix of vasanas, tendencies, and will react differently, in a very different way. So we cannot compare each other. We can only look at ourselves and observe this play of contraction and expansion. Yes. So looking at that, which is going to contraction, we use it sometimes as a concentration. We do meditation or practice to come back to ourselves. We said to center ourselves, to concentration. But this is part of the movement, so it is bound to go back to expansion, to wave and particle. But there is, the invitation here is to look, is there something which is not in this breathing, which is the container of the breathing, of contraction, expansion. So that is what we call consciousness, or the self, our true self, which is not a separate entity, which is shifting from contraction to expansion. We could say contraction is feeling of I exist as a body mind, as a separate entity, and there is others. And expansion, the sense of I is dissolving and there is no separation. We feel an experience of love with others, experience of oneness with the world, and we feel happy because there is no contraction, no I identification, not at all or less. It can be with some scale. So we all experience that, and even we search for that, whether we do meditation, whether we drink alcohol or take drugs, or whether we do some running or to climbing or some extreme sport. What we are searching is to not be there as I, because that's when we are happy, in this expansion, when there is not a contraction of I. This contraction make us feel small and miserable, and our true light of consciousness feels intuitively that something is not harmonious in that. So something does not like it, and it even brings anger, sadness, depression, because something in us emit a signal and said, this is not what I am, this is not me, it's not possible. So something is fighting unconsciously with that, not liking that, to be small. And because what we are is not just that, it's just an expression in the field of consciousness, is contraction. So contraction, expansion, breathing. We can observe this looking at the breathing and just a simple witnessing of the breath, and we can just experience again that I is not there. So it can be experienced at many levels. We experience it every night in deep sleep. There is no me, there is no separation, there is not even body consciousness. So that is the divine pulsation or life pulsation, the Spanda, and it is experienced within our own self. That what you are, the self, the pure self, is not in that movement of contraction and expansion. So when we fall back into contraction, when it's a small contraction, then it's not so difficult because it shifts back again. But when we experience stronger contraction due to some outer or inner events, whatever it is, then we feel lost, and we feel lost in Maya, in the illusion, and we don't know what to do. There is not much we can do about that. It's happening, and the awareness that it was a contraction might be in that moment coming, and sometimes not. So it will take some time to come out of it and to realize, oh my God, I was again going in this dream, losing myself in contraction. So that's part of the game, because it's not possible to, as a character, the character is part of the dream experience in time and space, which has to experience contraction and expansion, and more or less according to characters. So what to do? life doing it itself. Nobody is doing it. So life is creating waves of high and low, contraction, expansion, pleasure, pain, and so on, and nobody is doing it. There are waves. So if consciousness is willing to recognize in itself, in spite of these waves, is the self only can recognize the self. We can't do anything about it, because any doership, any I doing it, make it worse, because it's acting in time and space. So we can do practice, do anything, and it will maybe bring us closer to that, but ultimately we realizing that any sense of doership is keeping us in that. Even to not do as a character, the non-doing is also doing, it's opposite. So only this absolute non-doing, which has no opposite, this being here, to stop going anywhere. We said to reach liberation, to go in higher plane of consciousness, to be free, to go to paradise, to go somewhere, and to find finally peace and freedom. But in truth, this freedom is to stop going anywhere. When we follow our mind, when we follow our inner patterns, conditioning, when we follow that, we sustain the will. So by being absolutely here, which is your own self, which has no legs, no arm, no time, no space, which never moved, which never left itself, this home that you are, which never left and can never leave itself, is always as pure as it is, in spite of the appearance of contraction and expansion. So that is the play, and so it can recognize that pure consciousness can recognize itself as it wish. Only self-surrender, meaning recognizing also that this I, separate I, is not existing. So, but we are not doing it. It's happening. It's an event in a non-time, because time is appearing to exist, but it's an illusion. Like I had as a teenager another dream like that, about that. No, it was not a dream, sorry. It was by reading a Chinese astrology book. And then they were talking about the time in a line like this, past, present, future. And I was all my life until teenagehood raised in that. And next page I opened, and it was around like that, and it was written in Chinese philosophy. There is only this eternal present, like around, and this was killing me for a while at this. And the whole night I could not sleep. It was killing the concept of time. So this is the illusion that there is a past, a future, there is something to reach. We are bound and we have to reach liberation, but it's only an appearance in this timeless beingness of that we are. So it's a play, and the play sometimes is very joyful, sometimes it's dramatic, and it seems very real. That's why it was made to experience a dream which has a very strong appearance, like we have in dreams also, like when we go to see movies. So, but for the self, for consciousness, it's only a play, an experience. So if we can keep this lightness, playfulness in our heart, then, but with doing it, come back to the same question. Thank you for listening. You can like the video, subscribe to the channel. I will meet you very soon. Enjoy. Namaste.